Okay, so one of the tricks that we know really improves your memory when you're studying is using what we call mnemonics. These are memory aids that help you link new information to well-known information you already know. Mnemonics work because they chunk material. So these are maybe famous mnemonics you've seen throughout learning, things like PEMDAS for remembering the order of operations. I use mnemonics to help you remember subcortical structures. But the way this works is because, for instance, with planets, instead of needing to remember 8 unique pieces of information, you only have to remember one sentence. My very excellent mother just served us nachos. So it's a useful strategy in that sense. There's also another kind of memory aid strategy called memory palaces. If you've ever seen videos of people who can memorize like the order of all 52 cards in a deck or crazy things like that, they're often using the strategy where they're pretending they're walking around their home or some well-known spot, and they're placing mnemonics or memory tools in different areas around their home. So when they have to recall it, they're just kind of in their brain rewalking the path of their home. It's a little bit complex. I'll post some videos on our comment page about it, but it's really cool to think about. Besides using mnemonics and cues, when you study is also really important. The key thing here, and I know this is something that I don't even do, generally we don't do this, is to space your studying out. Do not cram. I know we all cram before a test. That is the worst thing you can do. So there's a thing called the spacing effect, which means that if you study information and then take a break, and then study again and take a break, you're going to recall it better than if you study information all in one sitting, cramming it. And that's because having time and repetition and taking breaks, where you can sleep or exercise in between, actually strengthens those memories and makes you recall them later. So if you want to improve your studying for midterms, study an hour every day, just a little bit every day. Don't cram right beforehand. But also, in addition, the way you study also makes a difference. So instead of just reading or reviewing material, give yourself practice tests. And I know tests suck. I get it. But research has shown that taking tests is actually a good way to form long-term memories. So here's a study that compared to groups that were given 2 chances to study material, compared to a group that was studying and then tested on that material, you can see that over time, the group that tests is actually doing better. So after 5 minutes, when you first learn and it's still in your working memory, the groups are pretty similar. However, we know we don't take exams, 5 minutes after we learn the material. So after 2 days or a week later, without fail, the group that was testing and giving themselves practice tests recalls more information than the group that just studies. And this also works too. Researchers have replicated this finding so many different times using different delays, different study amounts, that type of thing. So here's a similar kind of graph showing either studying 4 times, studying 3 times and testing at the end, or studying once and then just testing yourself a bunch. And you can see that after just a week of delay, that group that tested themselves is doing a lot better than the groups that just studied. So that's why I give you things like practice quizzes, practice questions, quiz yourself, because that's going to help you recall information better than if you're just rereading passages. Another thing you can do, though, distinct from reviewing or rehearsing something over again, is reciting material. This is involved in verbalizing material that they're learning in your own words. So in a way that's self-referential, that makes sense to you. So this allows you to connect material to your own experiences. And if you're, drawing on personal examples to help learn concepts, you're more likely to recall that information than if you just rehearse that definition. You're encoding it at a deeper level. You're using deeper processing that we talked about earlier. But other things you could do is explain material, recite it to others. Explain it to your grandma, to your roommate, to your friend, to your dog, just out loud to yourself. Just walk through the concepts as if you're the teacher. If you can explain it to someone new, you probably know it pretty well. Otherwise, it'll tell you where your gaps in your knowledge are. Research has shown how students learn depending on the different types of engagement they can do with material, you learn best when you can say that material out loud or do stuff with it than you do just by reading or hearing it. So honestly, I've learned so much about psychology and how concepts link together just by teaching this course. So use that strategy too when you're studying. All right, so that wraps us up. Let's bring it back to where we first began. Do you remember the correct Starbucks logo? See how good your long-term memory is. Yeah, there are so many cool memory tricks, guys, and I might post some additional things down below because you could spend a whole course on memory. Not an hour and a half isn't enough. But with that, this is the end. Happy to post questions on the discussion board and I'll respond to you. And I'm excited for our synchronous class. We can do some more memory stuff. All right, have a good day. Bye, guys.